Hi, this is Jacob Erdy with MarketingPlayBook.co, and today we're going to be covering how to set up an AdWords display campaign. Be sure and watch the next video, because in the next video we're going to make some quick modifications to the campaign that we set up here. So the first thing I'm going to do is click the plus campaign button, and then I'm going to go ahead and just set up display network only. I'm going to go ahead and give the campaign a name. And you'll see that AdWords has some choices right here that I could choose. Really, to start off, I'm just going to go ahead and select no marketing objective. And the only difference here that I'd recommend for most people is if you have a mobile app. But by selecting no marketing objective, is what you're able to do is you're going to have all the options available to you anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Next, we're going to go ahead and set up a location. So if I was an e-commerce store, I'd probably want all of the United States, right? However, if I'm a Denver dental practice, I pretty much don't want everybody in the United States. I only want people in my area. So from there, you can actually go into the advanced search tab. And from there, you can go ahead and enter in, let's say, Denver. And you're going to see that I'm able to add in the city of Denver. You can also modify your targeting more, saying, you know what, I don't want Denver's. What I want is I want just people in the zip code. So you can go ahead and just select a zip code and add people just in that particular area, and you can add in multiple zip codes if you want. You also have the ability of entering in a zip code and excluding it. So if you did Denver, but there were some areas inside Denver you didn't want, you could go ahead and do a search for a particular one and then just exclude those results within that area. So what it'll do is it'll exclude people who are searching inside this particular area. Now, it's not going to be 100% exact, and you can limit amount of impressions you're going to get in AdWords by doing this and by just geo-targeting one small area. So there are pros and cons to it. Another option that you have is radius targeting, and this can be quite good. So if I'm running a termite business and I only have my employees going out max of 40 miles, you can go ahead and put in the address of your business, and then go ahead and select 40 miles. And by doing it that way, you're just servicing people who are in that 40-mile range. So there's some powerful options in there for you that I do recommend you take advantage of. Now, like I said, if you are a larger business, this doesn't necessarily pertain to you at all. So if I shouldn't say a larger business, if you're doing e-commerce and you're looking for lead generation all within the state of Colorado or Denver, you don't really have to get this granular. Next up, I went ahead and I just selected United States, but next up we have the language selection. Now, if you have Spanish-speaking individuals or whatever language it is for the country you're targeting, I do recommend you separate out the different languages into its own campaign. The only difference is if it's a really small targeted campaign, so it's a really, let's say you're just targeting the city of Denver, then it really doesn't matter nearly as much. The language is triggered based upon the browser that the individual is using. So if they're using a browser with the language of Spanish, then the ad will show if you're targeting Spanish individuals. If it's an English browser, then it'll show if the browser's in English. Now, for your daily budget, generally is what I recommend everybody do just starting off, is just put it at $5, just because you want things to run for a day, just to make sure that you've set up everything correctly. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do, is just set it at $5. Now, you will change this, of course, once you look at the campaign and things look correct and they're going to the correct landing page and everything along those lines. But to start off, usually I do $5 just to ensure that I'm not making any major mistakes when I'm setting up the campaign. For the delivery method, you have two options available to you. Standard, which shows it over time, so my $5 budget is going to be spent across the 24-hour period. If I did accelerated, it's going to show my ad as fast as possible. So basically, any opportunity there is to show the ad will show. And if you're targeting the United States, I would recommend you show ads evenly over time. If you're targeting just a general, really specific city or state, I would probably move it to accelerated just to ensure that your budget does get spent for that day. Now, for the rest of the options, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to refer you back to our AdWords search guide, because we already cover all of this in there. We might create some supplemental guides on the GDN course on MarketingPlayBook.co, but we've covered these in depth over in the AdWords search guide, and they're basically all the same options, so we don't really need to re-go into this. At least not in depth. I'll quickly go over here. You can go ahead and schedule your start and stop dates for ads. And then you have your ad delivery and rotation platform. So with ad delivery, right here it says optimize for conversions, show ads expected to provide more conversions. So if I have, let's say, 7 banners in here or 7 different text ads, it's going to show the ads that are showing conversion data more than ads that are not showing conversion data. You also have the ability of doing capping impressions, which I don't recommend off the bat ever doing. I just say show the impressions as much as possible. And then we have device targeting, which you're only going to use if you wanted to target specific devices that are mobile or tablet. Otherwise, this option really doesn't do much value for you. I usually don't do anything with it unless I know, hey, I just want to target iPhones or I just want to target Android devices. Now the location options is something we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at. And here what we have is people in or who show interest in my targeted location. And this is what is on by default. Now I recommend that you do not use this default setting. I recommend you actually do it for people in my targeted location. So if I'm an e-commerce store and I'm only selling to people who are in the United States, but not Canada and not over in Europe, if somebody in Europe does a search for Colorado Dental, then my ad is going to show up right now because that's what I set my keywords around. Now, I wouldn't want that, right? I just want people in my targeted location. And this is true if you're an e-commerce store that does not ship overseas or does not ship to Canada. I would recommend you just set it as people in my targeted location. And so we're going to go ahead and hit the save and continue button. And next up, we're going to be doing the ad group, which is going to be in not the next video, but the video after that.